everyone, TeriGigi here. I'm glad to be back. I wanted to get on finally and tell you what's been going on. It's kind of a story and it has a happy ending, so I want to share it with you. So try to stay around till the end because that's when the fun stuff comes. Here's what went down with me and why I haven't been on YouTube. In the last episode, I had my friend was visiting me, her and her husband came, and her and I had such a great time. We went to the beach, we did all this fun stuff, and I don't even remember what my last video was about. So, but anyway, during the visit is when all this virus stuff started. Now, I'm not gonna harp on that, but I do want you to know that during this video today, is I realized that things are really bad and all that. I'm just not going to talk about that part right now, but I realize there are many people suffering. I'm telling you the story and the happy ending with that also in mind, knowing that everything could change things seem to be changing every day, so anything could change. They visited, they went home, and Scott and I left to come back to the apartment. We spent a week here and we went back that next weekend. And I think it was like March 22nd or somewhere around there. He was coming back here to the apartment to work for 3 days. So when that time, I just stayed at the beach house. I just stayed, not beach house, but you know what I'm saying. I just stayed down there and because he would be back in 3 days anyway. And so we had 2 cars and everything. Long story. Okay, so he told me later, and I don't remember this, but he said when he got ready to leave on that Sunday afternoon, I looked at him and I said, I really don't feel good. I want to lay down. As soon as you walk out of here, I'm laying down. And he said it was kind of weird because it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So he left and I laid down and I slept about 3 hours, which was so odd. Woke up Monday morning. I couldn't function, y'all. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I could not function. I was so exhausted, like I've never felt like that before, where all I did those days, I mean, I was okay by myself, but I would wake up and get coffee, and within an hour, I was back on the couch asleep. I would wake up after a couple of hours, get up and get something to eat and try to do something else, and within 45 minutes, I was back on the couch, slept again. This went on and on. The exhaustion was incredible. I had a headache, a dull headache, and I had a little bit of a sore throat, and I didn't think I had the virus because where would I have gotten it? I hadn't been out and about, and at that point, Alabama didn't have very many cases at all. So friends and family were really urging me to call the doctor because on the 3rd day, I started running a fever. Well, actually on day 2, I felt like I had a fever, so just a raging fever, but I was too tired to go find the thermometer and take it, right? So the following day, I did take it and it was 102.7. Odd, right? So I called, I don't know. I called my nurse line of my insurance company, and all he did, this guy, he wasn't even, y'all, okay, he wasn't from here. That's all I'm going to say. And I could barely understand him. And he said, do you have pollen in the air? And I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, we do. And he goes, well, it's probably pollen. I'm sure you'll be fine. But if you don't feel better later, call us back. So I just said, okay, I guess I just have sinuses. But I've had sinuses my whole life, off and on, but it's never put me to sleep. I've just had a raging headache, a sinus pressure headache, and that's about it. I really didn't have a runny nose or anything. So then on day 3 as well, I started coughing. And I will admit, I will tell you that my chest felt funny. Not tight exactly. I wasn't gasping for air by any stretch of the imagination, but it was just a weird feeling, like a heavy feeling. Well, Scott gets back to the beach in the middle of this situation. And as he's driving down, I'm starting to get panicky because I'm thinking, what if by some craziness I have it and he gets here and he gets it? Now, I wouldn't call Scott elderly, but he is 4 years older than me, which is not saying a lot, but he also has some underlying conditions that would make it not good if he got the virus. So I got panicked. So I got up, drug myself around the house. I wiped everything down, you know, everything. I wiped everything down. And when he walked in the door, I said, look, you're sleeping in the guest room and you use the guest bathroom, and we will not, you know, our paths will not cross. And then in the family room, we sat away from each other, you know, so we followed all the rules just in case by craziness I had this virus, because it just seemed weird. Well, then I did on Saturday. I was still feeling so bad. So that was a week. And I called, you know, the Alabama State Health Department and all that. And they said, you can go get tested. You have, and I called my doctor here, and they both said, you have the top symptoms. You can go get tested if you want to. But it wasn't necessary because the results of my test weren't going to change the outcome of my treatment. My treatment wasn't going to change because I was slowly getting better. At that time, there was a big shortage. You know, you have to go back a couple of weeks. You know, things change every day. So there was this big shortage of tests, and I just felt like I didn't want to waste a test, because what if Scott needed a test and he was sicker than me and I had used up the test he could have gotten? Do you know what I mean? So I just said, no, I'm not going to go get tested. The other reason I didn't go is because at that point, again, Alabama had so few cases that they were just gearing up. So it was an hour and 15 minutes one way for me to go get the test. I would have had to gone alone because Scott and I couldn't be in the car together. That was too close of contact. And so it was going to be 2.5 hours round trip, and I didn't feel up to it, to be honest. I just didn't feel like I could do that trip and get home and not have an attack of the tiredness, you know, because a lot of times it still happens to me even now, and it's been 2 weeks. I have these times of exhaustion, like, and it comes suddenly. That's what I was going to say. It just comes on kind of suddenly now. Before it was just a long, like a malaise of, you know, isn't that the word, of feelings. Okay. Therefore, I didn't video any, okay, during that whole thing. It's been 2 weeks. Scott and I are back to normal. He is working still every day. Oh, and then he self-quarantined because he had been exposed before he left. And then he was with me that week. The following week, and he had no symptoms, the following week, he worked from home. So we stayed down at the beach because he was working from home, because he wasn't going to go to work and expose anybody just in case. So full 2 weeks go by and he's not had any symptoms. So he's back at work this week. Well, I just got really, really down. That's the other part of this. I've been talking so long. Got really down, not depressed exactly, but just feeling down. I can't describe it. I felt like I had nothing to add to the story, nothing to make y'all feel better and feel up and happy. Nothing. I had nothing to share. So I just didn't do any videos because I just felt like I would just be going through the motions, and that wouldn't be good. So I took some notes here. Oh, I was down about a few things. One was just, it was weird, y'all. I was so down on myself. Oh my gosh. Every time I looked in the mirror, the words coming out of my head were so negative. You're so ugly. You look so awful now. You're so old. You're just, I don't know. It was the worst feeling. It was just this heaviness. Then I was worried about Scott because he's working, and you know, so he's out in the world, and yes, they're being careful at work and all the things, but still I worry. That's been on my mind a lot. How are my kids coping? That's been on my mind a lot. How's everybody doing in my family? You know, it's just kind of a weird time. Okay, everybody's going through that as well. So every morning I've been waking up and I've been thinking I'm going to get going. I'm going to do something fun today. I'm going to do some art. I'm going to do some this, that. I'm going to clean. I'm going to organize. I'm going to do something. And every day I just felt like doing nothing. So I've just been kind of lazing around, reading, watching the news. That was probably part of it. Reading online, all the different theories going around, all the different, just so much that is going around. And I was still praying and reading my Bible, but it felt flat. And I talked to another friend of mine. It's interesting because she felt exactly the same way, just flat, like just not feeling any real feelings, just feeling weird. And maybe that's normal for a lot of people. I don't know. I've not been seeing many people talk about it. So anyway, so why am I on YouTube today? It was because of what happened this morning. Y'all, sometimes the cloud can lift when you least expect it by a way that you would have never guessed. What was that way? It was YouTube. Early this morning, I woke up at like 4:30 when Scott was leaving for work, and I was just watching different videos, and this video popped into my feed. And it's so funny, y'all, but it's this woman in France. And I used to watch her videos like a few months ago, and somehow I lost them and forgot about them. I was unsubscribed. Somehow I became unsubscribed to her. And it's this woman that has bought a chateau in France, and she's restoring it. And the people, she's just got this crazy cast of characters. You know, her mother lives with her. Her different people come in and out of her life, and she has volunteers that come and stay, I guess, for in exchange for the work. They can stay at the chateau for free. Anyway, I'm linking this all down below so that you can watch, and you can go back to the very video number 1 and watch forward. And I would suggest that because it's very, very interesting, everything that's gone on. But I lost it, like I said, a few months ago. So today I saw this video, and it was her updating something about the chateau. It was a more recent video. So I watched it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she's so great. Where's she been? Oh my gosh, I got to go back to her. Her name is Stephanie. And it's just so interesting. I just can't tell you how awesome this whole channel is. And I believe it's called the Chateau Diaries. I'll link it, but I think that's the name of it. Well, anyway, then I saw one of her videos that she did a few weeks ago or a month or two ago, and it was the secret of the lost lake or something like that. Well, that caught my attention. So I watched this video that she had, and it was a terrible situation. They had lost over a 5-acre lake because the French made them drain it. And this lake, y'all, has been there for hundreds of years. This chateau is built in the 16 or 1700s. It's been there a long time. And someone's added on in the meantime. It's a long story. And she was talking about the lake, and she went walking out there to where the lake had been. And there was a boathouse where they used to go after they bought the chateau. So the lake would have been in the price of the chateau. I mean, if you've got water, a lake on your land, that adds to the value, right? And now it's just this swampy hole. It's just like a wetland. And I don't know how long ago this happened, but now it's getting grown up. And that someone threatened her. The French threatened her that she had to do it, or she would have like €100,000 fine. She was alone at the time, and they scared her to death, and she opened the thing and let the water out. And now she's found out that that was not right. That was not true. Her property's protected because of the history. So as I'm watching this, I'm just sick inside for this woman. I'm sick about it. That she was taken advantage of by, I'm sure it was like environmentalists, saying you have to drain your lake because it came from a tributary of fish and stuff. And it was so terrible. And then she said, because she has got some Patreons now on her channel that pay monthly for extra things, I guess. You know what Patreon is. Or they just donate to her cause, because her Chateau, because it's so interesting. She's able to start a little fund. And now she has enough money to do this, to get the survey done, to go back and to be able to follow the law to get her lake filled back up. It would only take 2 days, y'all, to fill the lake back if they close the, I can't remember what she called, the gate or something. She also has a moat that comes from the same water, but it's just a little trickle of a stream. Why am I telling you all of this? First of all, because I think you would enjoy it so much. Second of all, is because she said something at the end of the lake video. She said, this is one of the first times I've walked out here. My mother can't even walk out to the dry lake with her because it's just gut-wrenching, you can imagine. And their boat was upside down, just sitting in the lake, in the mud. So terrible. But at the end, she said this. She said she was optimistic for the first time about this lake and about it returning to its original glory that it was built for. She said, without optimism, we cannot achieve anything in life. And I was just thinking, wow, that is so true. If you're not optimistic about your life, about tomorrow, you can't achieve anything. And that's what I felt like I was in. I was in this trap of negative thinking and looking at every flaw of my life, of myself, of my kids, of everybody. And I was thinking, everything's going to be terrible from now on. And that's not my personality at all. I always rise to the occasion. When she said that, something just jumped in my heart. And it said, yes, you're going to be optimistic now. You're changing. You're changing it today. Optimism is your word. And so I jumped out of bed because I wasn't about to lay there and watch. And change my mind about my optimism. I had to jump up in the middle of it. And I was so excited. And then I added to her saying, and this is the entire thing that is going to be my mantra. Without optimism, we cannot achieve anything in life. From faith comes our optimism. For through faith, we know and believe that anything is possible. So as I wrote that, I was just so lifted. I was just so up. And I thought, I'm going to do a video and share this little saying because it just spoke to my heart like nothing, like everything. And it just made me feel, and so I found some verses that I could attach to it as well. And I just have a new rejuvenation of optimism that this is going to go away. And everybody's going, life will never go back to normal. Well, that's probably a good thing. Weren't we all on this treadmill of life, just pretending that everything was wonderful on social media, or a lot of people just doing the same thing and just on this treadmill, and now we're off it. So I'm dying to know what you're doing during this time in your home. Are you feeling good? Are you feeling negative? Are you feeling blessed? Are you feeling hopeful? Are you watching the news all the time? What are you doing in order not to feel a negative way? Do you have a schedule? I want to know what y'all are doing. Because today's my first day of optimism. So I've been going through the motions of life. I've been cooking and cleaning the house, and that's it. Petting the cat. One of the traps I was in too was worrying about Scott getting the virus. But not only that, his business could close at any minute. And I don't mean put him on a furlough. I mean shut down. Someday I'll tell you the saga and the story of that if it happens, and tell you what he does for a living, and it'll kind of be interesting to you, I think. So it's day by day. But I feel so optimistic because I'm like, you know what? What if he lost his job? We'll just go to the beach house is what we've been praying for and wanting so badly, and we'll pinch our pennies for the next couple of years like mad, and we'll be fine. Or he'll just retire a year or two earlier than the plan, and all that money we were going to save between now and then is not going to be there, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to be optimistic. Oh, final thing. Oh my gosh, I can't forget. I almost forgot to tell you this. So immediately when I got up and I was writing my new mantra and I was just having my coffee in a whole different spirit and doing my Bible study in an upbeat manner, I, of course, went to the Chateau's website and I looked it up, and I think it's 3.5 hours straight south of Paris. And so in my mind, we're going to go back at some point to Paris if things settle down and, you know, life doesn't crush us completely. It's something to look forward to, and we're going to go and stay at the Chateau. And I can share this story with her and see her quirky family and the vegetable garden and the greenhouse area and just the chapel. There's a chapel, y'all, a beautiful chapel on the property. It's unbelievable, and I can't wait. So that is something I'm looking so forward to. I'm planning it, y'all. I'm planning it. I don't have a date. I have one date, but I'll plan it. I'll plan it for the future. I've looked up the prices, and I'm all over it, y'all. It's very reasonable. And so that is my other thing. Have something planned to look forward to during this time. Think of something crazy that you can do and have that in your mind as well. So I'm going to let you go. I will see you when I see you, and stay healthy, stay sane, and don't watch the news all the time. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.